He knows he's lost, he knows there's no chance he can win, but he chooses to block anyway. You gotta respect the determination. Good afternoon, or evening, depending on your time zone. And welcome to Deck Tech Daily. If you're new to Magic the Gathering Arena, or need a little bit of guidance, then this is the channel for you. Today we are looking at a Lord of the Rings themed Elves deck in the standard format Best of 1. This is your typical, almost, mono-green Elves deck, but with the addition of new Elves cards from the Hobbit set that just released. So let's take a closer look at the deck and see what they are. So, the first one being the Cantankerous Keepers. This 6-mana Elf Soldier creature, I know that's expensive, but it does have affinity for elves, meaning this spell costs 1 less to cast for each elf you control. Obviously, all the creatures in this deck are elves, so you should be able, when it comes time to play them for almost just 1 mana on most of your turns, based on how this deck is built. And when the Cantankerous Keepers enters, mill 4 cards, then put all elf cards from among them into your hand. The strategy of this deck is to try to use it in sync with Tristan's Command. This card came out in the Lorwyn Eclipsed set. So this 6-mana Kindred Sorcery Elf, so even though it's a sorcery card, it still falls under the elf type. So for example, when the Keepers enters, you mill 4 cards, put all elf cards from among them into your hand. That's not just the elf creatures, it also counts for the Kindred Sorcery elf cards. So meaning you can put Tristan's Command into your hand. And of course Tristan's Command has Choose 2, and there's 4 abilities to choose from. The first one, create a token that's a copy of target elf you control. Hopefully you can copy the Cantankerous Keepers, thus a new one of them enters, you mill 4 more cards, and thus keep refilling your hands with elves that way. So this strategy I feel has a ton of potential. These 2 cards work very well in sync with each other. And of course Tristan's Command has other abilities as well. Remember, you can choose 2 once you play this. The second one, return 1 or 2 target permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand. You can use that to bring back another Cantankerous Keepers in your graveyard, or one of your weaker elves that were killed earlier on in the game. Destroy target creature or enchantment, so that's removal. And its final ability, creatures target player controls get +3/+3 until end of turn, and you can untap them. So you can use some of your mana dorks such as Llanowar Elves or the returning Elvish Archdruid to generate mana, play Tristan's Command, they'll all get a +3/+3 boost, and of course you can untap them so they're ready to attack that same turn, even after you use their mana dork tapping ability. So great combo right there, I feel. Let's look on to the rest. Another new card, the Woodland Weavemaster. So just 2 mana, and he has Vigilance. Whenever another elf you control enters, this creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. And his second ability is a mana dork ability, meaning you can tap him to add mana. So, tap, add X mana of any one color, where X is this creature's power. Spend this mana only to cast elf spells and activate abilities of elf sources. Obviously every card in this deck is an elf, so that should be able to fuel any of your cards you play. So let's say you have the Weavemaster out, and then the next turn you play the returning Dwynen's Elite. This 2 mana, when it enters, if you have another elf on the field, you create a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token. Use 2 mana to play Dwynen's Elite, Woodland Weavemaster, because 2 new elves just entered. He'll get +2/+2, and he counts as a 3 mana dork now, because remember, add X mana where X is this creature's power. So you can use that to play any of your elf spells. Another new one from the Hobbit set is Thranduil the Elvenking. So this 5 mana has all activated abilities of all elf cards in your graveyard. So when he enters, if you have the Cantankerous Keepers in your graveyard, it'll be the same thing. Mill 4 cards, put all elf cards among them into your hand. Another great card for protection is the Selfless Safewright. This came out from the Lorwyn Eclipse set. It's 5 mana. It has Flash and Convoke. So Convoke is a little different from Affinity for Elves. Affinity just means this spell is 1 less to cast for each elf you control. Convoke is similar in the sense that it's one less to cast, but you also have to tap the creature. So that makes it a little more difficult to play, but when the Safewright enters, choose a creature type. You're obviously going to choose Elf. Other permanents you control of that type gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. So this makes it very good against if you're playing up against like an Azorius type deck that's playing field wipes like Day of Judgment, for example, or Ultima. Any card that destroys creatures. You have a bunch of elves, their biggest weakness is if your opponent plays a field wipe. You can flash in the Safewright, all your creatures will gain indestructible for that turn. And if it's in your graveyard, remember, when you play Thranduil, he'll also inherit that ability when he enters of giving all your creatures hexproof and indestructible that same turn. Also, there's plenty of mana dorks in this deck, the Elvish Archdruid, the Woodland Weavemaster, Llanowar Elves, so they all count as activated abilities, so he'll inherit those as soon as he enters, plus he's a 5/6 creature overall, which is pretty decent. We have the returning Champions of the Perfect. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you draw a card. That's not once per turn. So if you play, for example, a Llanowar Elves and a Dwywen's Elite, that's 3 cards you get to draw that same turn. Also, another new card, the Elrond Moonreader. Whenever you activate an ability of a creature, draw a card. This ability triggers once each turn. Mana dorks, meaning when you tap it, add mana. The Weavemaster, Llanowar Elves, the Archdruid, they all count as activated abilities. So that will trigger his ability, and he has his own activated ability as well for 7 mana. Exile up to 2 other target non-land permanents you control. Return those to the battlefield under their owner's control at the beginning of the next in-step. So you can use that if you have the mana to, bring back Dwywen's Elite, or, for example, a Safewright to give all your creatures hexproof and indestructible that turn, or Cantankerous Keepers to reactivate its ability. We have 24 lands to be specific. Obviously, we're running 4 Eclipsed Realms because when it enters, you choose Elf, and you can add a mana of any color as long as it's used to cast an Elf spell. Once again, every card in this deck is an Elf card, so you can make literally any mana. Let's move on to the gameplay and see how this deck goes, and of course, as always, the deck list is in the description. Okay, so the opponent goes first, typical as always. Okay, so I won't have a turn 1 creature, but I will have turn 2, which I'm going to choose the Weavemaster, so that way on turn 3, I can play Dwywen's Elite and generate a bunch of mana that way. Okay, so we're up against a all-blue type deck, it seems. So I'm going to predict it's one of those elemental bounce decks, and he plays another blue, yeah. So he's playing that crab card, I forget what it's called, but when it enters, it taps a creature, and that 9 mana elemental, that bird, yeah, that one, Sunderflock, that's what it's called. When this creature enters, if you cast it, return all non-elemental creatures to their owner's hand. That's what you have to watch out for. The fact that he discarded it leads me to believe he already has 1 or 2 in his hand, so... Okay. Let's play the Elite. Okay, so now we got 3/4 mana to work with. I could also play the Perfect. So, let me play an Elf. And I could refill my hand, or not, because I'm going to waste mana that way. So let me use all 4 mana from the Weavemaster. Play a Champion of the Perfect. I have to behold an Elf, but it also has to exile. I'll do the second one, since once this Champion of the Perfect dies, I'll get the exiled one back to my hand anyways. This spell costs X less to cast when X is the greatest mana value among elementals you control. Currently he has none, so I don't think he can play a Sunderflock anytime soon. all blue. I don't think there's any field wipes that are all blue. This one, okay. It's been a while since I've seen this card. Deluge. His power and toughness are each equal to the number of islands you control. Okay, Eclipsed Realms. We're obviously going to choose Elf. So I have 5 elves, so look at that. He dropped from 6 mana down to just 1 mana for a 4/3 creature. That also refills my hand when he enters. And the Champions of the Perfect trigger, so I draw a card back. All the elves, including Tristan's command, come to my hand. Let's see, how should I do this? All I have is a breeding pool in my graveyard, so... Let me first play the Emissary so I can get some life gain going on. I'll draw another card that way. Ooh, look, another Keepers. I got some good card draw going on. I could play Thranduil. Let me instead play... can I win this turn? So 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, I'll have to tap him though to play. Okay. I'm gonna destroy target creature and give all of mine +3/+3. Target a creature enchantment, definitely the Eluge, and give myself +3/+3. Match number 2. Opponent goes first once again. Typical. We do have a 1-drop this time, and hopefully we can play Elrond on turn 2. Okay. So the fact that playing red and blue leads me to believe it's a Brawl. So there's a ton of burn damage in this deck. Typical. The Weavemaster first, so that way next turn, assuming he survives, the Elite will enter, and the Woodland Weavemaster will be a 3/4 creature, and then I can play Elrond that way. So let's do... He probably has some burn damage removal, I'm guessing. We'll see in a few short seconds, I feel. Or maybe a counterspell? Oh, he wasted a counterspell on the... Okay. The Weavemaster has Vigilance, so always attack with him if able. How do I want to do this? I think I can behold Tristan's command too if I want. 3, 4, 5. Although, let me do the Moon Reader instead. Because I'll have enough mana to play Tristan's command next turn, so I kind of want to keep it for now. To maybe have another counterspell? Interesting. Well, at least I'm baiting out all of his counterspells that way. His 3 steps ahead is a very versatile card, but it's kind of wasting it on countering useless cards like Dwynen's Elite. Okay, so... 3, 4, 5. Let me attack first, because I'll have to tap him to get the mana. So let me swing into this one. Okay, and now I'll use his mana door to play. I'll do these two to make a copy of the Weavemaster and bring these two back to my hand. Accumulate Wisdom. Okay, so he only draws one card instead of 3. So that was a discard. Interesting. Now this is a very common Avengers Disassembled. I've been seeing this card a ton. He destroyed, what did he destroy? Overgrown Tomb? Okay. So I get to play a basic land. I'll do Champions of the Perfect, the whole Tristan's Command, and the Elite. So this should, yeah, trigger a card draw. The token. I kind of thought that the token entering would also count. Well, the token's not a creature spell, so I guess that's why it doesn't count. He only has 2 unknown cards in hand. Avengers Disassembled only does 3 damage to each creature, so it wouldn't be able to kill Champions of the Perfect. And most of the less than burn damage cards typically aren't strong enough to do more than 6 damage. Okay, so now he's down to 6. Is he playing? Well, yeah, there is a Plains. He might. It was interesting how he did it that way. He could have used it to block Champions of the Perfect from doing damage. So he's using that Thor to bring back probably Just Guy. Oh no, Counterspell. Okay, how do I want to do? Can I win this? 5, 6, 7, 8. I can use Tristan's Command to destroy Thor, but he does have the counterspell. I have to keep that in mind. Guys. I'm going to behold the elf already here, since it's kind of useless. That's not good. Now this did not go according to plan. We started off so good. I didn't get any of the Safewright, the one that I can flash in and give all my elves indestructible. I really needed that card for this deck. Indestructible and Hexproof. That probably would have saved me. So yeah, this isn't looking too good, so... Match number 4. Okay, finally I get to go first, and I'm given a decent opening hand. Wow. It's got to be something in their algorithm where if you lose a bunch of times in a row, they'll start giving you better opening hands that are actually playable. And it's like they're making it easier for you to win. It's interesting. Okay, so... Champions of the Perfect or the Keepers? I think Let Me Hurry... Behold... Tristan's Command... Yes. He's playing blue and white, so I'm certain he has removal. So, or just a counter spell. That sucks because he countered it, so I don't get Tristan's Command back. That is one very bad downside of Champions of the Perfect. Let me play an elf first. To make the Keepers cheaper. And I'll get 4 cards, or 2 elves that way. Swing with these 2 to at least start putting pressure on them. Okay. Erode, yeah, it's cheap removal, but it does give me a free land. Okay, how should I do this? I'm almost for certain he has a field wipe. We do this then. I guess at this point I might as well just go all in and just hope he doesn't have Day of Judgment in his hand. Because it's all counter spells and oh, another counter spell. Okay, well I can at least swing for 6. Oh, no field wipes, it looks like. Okay, that's not a bad card. So if he does have a field wipe, I can officially save my creatures. I have, what, 5 mana? So yes, I can play him. He's turning the Sanctuary into... I'll let that happen. Hopefully he uses all his mana on a field wipe. I'll let that hit. Oh, is he doing it? No, he's just playing the Emeritus. When this creature enters, prepared, and for 1 you can draw 3 cards. He only has... Yeah, let me slash him in now. Yep, well that was at least enough to scare him into quitting. Match number 5. Okay, opponent goes first. This is not the best opening hand, unfortunately. Elves are all about playing a bunch of low mana creatures in your first couple turns, and then quickly ramping up to the stronger creatures. Okay, so this is a bit better at 1-drop, 2-drop. Okay, much better. Let me put one of the champions in the purple back. Plains, so I'm certain they have a field wiper in this deck. Oh, Plains is... Oh, so it's the Cemented. This is more creature heavy, so maybe they don't have Day of Judgment. Or any other field wiper in their deck. Okay, so... Let's do... I haven't seen someone play Heir Apparent in a long time. So that's his strategy, the Heir. I've not seen someone use that in a long while. How do I want to do this? I'll just let that go through. And now we play the Keepers. I'll get all 4 of them in my hand. Great. You do not block? Okay. I'm sure he's probably... Anthem of Champions. Creatures you control get +1/+1. Okay. Alright, how do I want to do this now? I got 4 mana to work with. I can play... I don't have any mana dwarfs on the field, though. I think I need to play the Archdruid, and now the Keepers is just 1 green mana, so let's do that. Refill my hand, and now I can swing with the Keepers, the Elites, and Emissary. And now he has to start blocking. So his whole deck is like Heir Apparents and cards to boost to give it +1/+1 counters. Interesting strategy. Okay, so... I have Tristan's Command. Let me see. Let me play... How should I do this? Because I can... Okay, how about this? Let's throw a bunch of elves on there, because I don't want him to outnumber me in terms of creatures. Another Keepers. Keep refilling our hand. Ooh, there's a Selfless Safewright in there. I probably should have played Champions of the Perfect first. I'll behold one of these Tristan's commands. I'll use 3 of them. Now let me use my extra mana. I'll just save the Selfless Safewright for my opponent's turn. I'm going to attack with these two, just in case he does have a field wipe. It's good to keep the Safewright back. So he's going to use 2 of his tokens to... Oh, interesting play. Maybe now is a good time to play the Safewright. That way they'll all get indestructible. Okay. Hopefully he doesn't have a... Oh, just another Heir Apparent. I vastly outnumber him now, so next turn I should be able to win. 2 mana, I don't have to worry about field wipes with that little mana. Pace of the Gateway Express. Choose target creature you don't control. Each creature you control deals 1 damage to that creature. Okay. Okay, so I think I have 6 mana to work with. I'll just use it all on... Give all my creatures +3/+3, and destroy one of his Heir Apparents. And swing all in with all my elves. And I think that's a good game. Yes, good game indeed. Oh, he's gonna block anyways. I respect that he knows he's lost. He knows there's no chance he can win, but he chooses to block anyways. You gotta respect the determination. Well, that was it for the demonstration of the Lord of the Rings themed Elves deck in the standard format best of 1. My closing thoughts on the deck: I do love the Elves archetype. I think they can work amazing in Historic, but in Standard, they've been given a ton of new support from the Lord of the Rings, the Hobbit set that just came out, but I still don't think they're quite there to make the Elves deck meta level just yet, which is very unfortunate. I would love to play Elves on the meta mythic level, but unfortunately it's just not there. The best card overall with the most potential has to be the Keepers. So when you get a ton of Elves, at least 5, he's just 1 green mana to play a 4/3 creature that basically refills your hand with a bunch of Elves. This card for sure has the most potential. I hope they introduce more Elf support in future standard releases that can work great in sync with this card to make Elves meta level sometime in the near future. Tristan's Command does work very well with the Keepers, as I anticipated. You can use it to removal against your opponent. You can create a copy of Keepers, thus refilling your hand even more, or bring back an Elf from your graveyard to your hand. The Safewright is great for protection. If you're playing up against a deck with a lot of removal or field wipes, this card you can flash it in at instant speed and give all your other Elves hexproof and indestructible. The problem is he's 5 mana and he's just a 4/2 creature. The only good thing about this card, really, is his indestructible ability he gives your creatures for just that turn. I was thinking maybe I can use that in sync with, like, Thranduil, so when he enters, all my elves will get indestructible that turn, but that didn't work out according to plan. There's only 1 of him in my deck, so of course it was rare that I would even get a chance to play him, but this deck I feel might work better in the Elves Landfall type that was like introduced in The Hobbit. There's a bunch of elves that also have landfall triggers. He might fit better into that type, I feel. Champions of the Perfect is great, but he does have that drawback because you have to exile another elf that's in your hand or you control in the field. And if your opponent plays a counterspell, you lose both of them, the Champions of the Perfect and the elf you just exiled. So that does have a major drawback, keep that in mind. Returning favorites such as the Archdruid, Llanowar Elves are always good. They'll always be great in any elf deck. Dwynen's Elite. This card, I mean, yeah, it does create a free elf when it enters, but unfortunately it doesn't have any mana generative ability. For example, the Woodland Weavemaster I feel is actually better because you can tap it to add a mana of any color as long as you play an elf spell with it. And if you play a bunch of cheap creatures like the Llanowar Elves or the Emissary, you can boost them up to 3/4 power and then create 4 mana that way. So the Weavemaster, I think, has potential to be an even greater mana dork than even the... Well, maybe not greater than the Archdruid. That's a stretch. But for a 2-mana spell creature, this is great. So the Weavemaster and the Keepers are great elves introduced in the Hobbit set. Elrond, okay. Whenever you activate an ability of a creature, you draw 1 card. This ability triggers only once each turn. This isn't that great, I feel, because remember, he's a legendary creature, so you can't have more than 1 of them on the field out of the time. And Champions of the Perfect is not legendary, and his draw ability is not a hard once per turn. So you can draw cards equal to as many creatures you play that turn. So I feel Champions of the Perfect is still superior to Elrond, but that's just my opinion. If you have any way you feel this deck can be improved, feel free to leave it in the comments. I thank you very much for tuning in and hope you have a good day.